This time, I'd like to introduce our presenters. We'll jump right into things. Our presenters are Jillian Gilbert and Wendi McGehee, and the topic is what's so serious about play? So, Jillian is a leadership development expert and assistant dean at Indiana Wesleyan University's DeVoe School of Business, Technology, and Leadership. A certified Lego Serious Play facilitator, she designs innovative leadership programs through the university's Leadership by Design Center and has led workshops for numerous Fortune 100 and 500 companies. Her expertise spans leadership identity, organizational development, innovation, and cross-generational learning. Welcome, Jillian. And Wendi leads innovation and strategic initiatives at Indiana Wesleyan University's School of Business, Technology, and Leadership. Also, a certified Lego Serious Play facilitator and Stanford trained design thinking practitioner. She draws on experience with Disney, the Lego Group, and higher education. She has also guided Fortune 100 and 500 teams and specializes in serious play, creative confidence, and organizational problem solving. So we're really excited to have both of you join us. We're looking forward to a great presentation. And just again, to remind people that we probably won't have room for too many questions because Jillian and Wendi will be going through a PowerPoint presentation. There's lots of good stuff. And we are recording this session. So as usual, we'll have the recording available afterwards. So I'll turn it over to Wendi and Jillian.
Sounds great. Thank you, Rick. Well, we are so thrilled to be here with you today, and we're excited to talk about one of our favorite topics, which is Lego Serious Play. So just a little bit of background about how we got introduced to Lego Serious Play. So I think in the intro, Rick mentioned I have worked for the Lego company. I actually spent the first half of my professional career before going into the dark side, which I say of academia, but spent the first half of my career with the Lego Group, working in training and organizational development for them. And during that time, I was transitioning into academia and wanting to explore a research agenda. And so I thought, what better to study than something you kind of already know, which is how play influences creativity. And so in my dissertation study, I studied how engaging with Lego, specifically the Lego Serious Play model that we're going to introduce you to today, how adults engaging with that can develop a mental muscle called creative confidence, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. So since then, we've brought that into, Dr. Gilbert and I have brought that into our academic portfolio, and we use it in classrooms when we're teaching graduate students in the areas of organizational change, organizational systems, leadership, things like that, as well as externally consulting with organizations. So I'll pause there. Jillian, tell us a little bit about how you got introduced to Lego Serious Play.
Yeah, so really I have to give all the credit to Wendi. So Wendi and I have worked together for how long has it been, Wendi? Like 20 years or something
Yep,
like that.
close to
And
20.
I have a natural bent to I'm a curious person. I'm a playful person, but I also am really passionate about how to reach the next generation in learning. And so when I joined the department and Wendi and I started to work together, and I had known her history, and she said, "Oh, I just got certified in this thing, Lego Serious Play." I was like, "What is this?" And I got so excited about it because it was so unknown, and I think as we all experience, it's very boring sometimes to just be trained the traditional way where everybody's just sitting back and leaning and not really engaging the way that you want to see engagement happen. So I went and got certified myself and came back and I was like, okay, now I totally get this. I get the power of this method. I get why it's called serious play. And so I fell in love with it and immediately became part of my practice. So I really do credit Wendi for my career in a lot of ways when it comes to this.
Well, and I will just interject here before you go on. I think for those of you that are listening in and you think I'm not a creative type,
Yeah.
this isn't necessarily the first thing that I think about. I think what makes Jillian and I's partnership so strong is that she mentioned she's naturally a playful, creative person. She's left-handed, and we know
Yeah.
that left-handed people tend to use that side of their brain a little bit differently. I'm completely the opposite. I am a self-proclaimed non-creative type, a linear thinker, more science-based in my thinking. And so coming together, I
Mhm.
think what you'll see today is this is for all, and the
Mhm.
power of Lego Serious Play, even someone who worked for the Lego company and appreciates the
Mhm.
company and the organization for their values and what they stand for. It's a different way of thinking, and it has challenged me in a lot of ways. And so, for those of you that are out there thinking, yes, this is the best thing since sliced bread, this is for you. And for those of you who are a little skeptical, I
Yeah.
say, hold on, this is for you as well. So, Jillian, I'll
Yeah,
turn
that
it back
is
to
very
you.
true about us. It's very fun. Okay, so what we want to do is, so that is the question we get. What is so serious about play, right? And because we think of play in really specific ways, and we're going to try to reframe it in an adult vocabulary in a way that can actually resonate with some of the key challenges and complex challenges we have in the organizations and in teams. And we always like to use the term, are you mature enough to play? Is what we say. It really is a mature practice. So let's get into it. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is and what it's not. And then we're going to kind of walk through some of the underpinnings, scientific, like the research underpinnings, but also kind of what we've explored, leave you with some examples of how it's been used. And hopefully that will prompt some thinking and dialogue. So okay, so the very first thing we want to share with you is the actual definition of the Lego Serious Play method. So there is Lego, there is Serious Play, but Lego Serious Play is what we're talking about here. And this method is a facilitated thinking, communication, and problem-solving method for individuals, organizations, and teams. And the things we like to draw out specifically to focus this is one, it's a method, but the facilitated part and the method part. So on the continuum of training and development and on the continuum of all the different ways that you can engage a group of people, the facilitated part is really important because with serious play, there's purpose and there's meaning behind what you're doing. It's not just a free flow. There is actually an outcome we're trying to get people to, discovery. So the facilitated means there is a process, a thoughtful process that we facilitate out through a really unique core process that Wendi will share later, that enables thinking to happen in a different way, communication to happen within a group, and actual solutions to emerge. And so it is backed by the fields of organizational psychology, leadership development, organizational development, neuroscience, psychology, and probably again, and strategy, a lot of the business thinking principles underpin this method as a way to bring out solutions and facilitate thinking among groups and teams. So it is a very scientific method in that way, which satisfies, like Wendi said, the linear thinker who needs to know that there's some process that is leading it, and it's not just like throwing Lego brick out on the table and say have fun. That is a huge thing. So to explain that, we want to share what it's not. I think this is really important because it's very common that people hear the word Lego and serious play and they're like, oh, this would be fun. And it is fun. It's hard fun, we say, but it's not an icebreaker. Okay, so you can use Lego at the beginning of a meeting to do some sort of fun icebreaker, but that's not Lego serious play. Like we said, Lego serious play is a method, and there's a point that we're trying to get the group to, and insight we're trying to bring out and unlock. So it isn't an icebreaker. So we would say no to something if they called us and said we just want to do something light. We would probably say that's not Lego serious play. The second is it's not uncommon, especially like we've done this in design thinking. Wendi and I used to do this in classes where you throw a bunch of Lego out and you say, okay, let's prototype something that we're thinking about. What is it called? The fast prototyping. You can use Lego to prototype ideas, but that's not Lego serious play. That's just using Lego to prototype. And so it's really important that we respect that space and the difference, because that doesn't really produce an outcome the same way that we're trying to produce. Then the second is it's not a physical design tool. And yes, that is Dunder Mifflin from The Office. And yes, I do have one in my office, everybody. And so it's common that, people love Lego. And so they want to see it and use it as a design tool or design mechanism or to build like what some physical space looks like. And though you can use Lego for that, that still isn't Lego serious play. because Lego Serious Play is trying to unlock other kinds of knowledge, not trying to unlock a physical design. And then it also, we have seen people try to use it as a process management. How do we get from point A to point B? That is not Lego Serious Play either. You can use Lego bricks again, like this picture, to say, okay, here's where we start, here's where we end. And if you know what that A and B is and is very clear, it's not Lego Serious Play. So we just want to make sure that it's understood. It's not a process management tool. And the final thing is, and this is probably the hot button one, because Wendi, and you can speak into it too, a lot of times people call, we just want something not cool for our team. We just want to develop our team, make it a fun, lighthearted day. Yeah, it is fun and it will develop your team, but it's not a team building game. So you can use Lego to do those kinds of things, but Lego Serious Play is the serious play part of it, which is really trying to build something within the team. And it's not really like a game that we gamify. It's not a competition. In fact, with Lego Serious Play, competition actually prohibits knowledge from emerging, because the minute you put competition in it, it shuts down the psychological safety, which we'll talk about later. So that's just trying to give you a little parameter. So why do we use it and why do we think it's so valuable? The fundamental belief about Lego Serious Play is that the answer is in the room, that often we have the knowledge, the experience, and the talent in the room, and we have not created the space to unlock the potential and knowledge that's in the room to come to the solutions within themselves. So it's typical that we have passive listeners, or we have environments where we're telling people what we think should be happening. And when we do that, we haven't actually unlocked all the perspective that's in the room. The power of perspective taking and providing a space to unlock the untapped potential in each individual in the room is the power of Lego Serious Play. The core tenet is the belief that within a group of individuals, the answers about themselves is present, and we need to help that to emerge, and that the solution among a team and group is there. We just have to create the environment for that to emerge. And it's really the way we talk about it is the iceberg, right? We operate most often in that 5%, the things that we know, and the things that groups know that they know. And the power of perspective sharing and unlocking the imagination and the potential and the knowledge of the people in the room is to get to that 95% of the things that we didn't realize we knew that we knew. And to really bring that up and surface that in a way that reveals a greater picture of the whole and of the individual. And we have seen this, haven't we, Wendi, time and time again, where somebody will build and an aha moment emerges for them and the team that unlocks all of the possibilities and solutions right there. And we've seen it over and over again. And so that's the power of the method. Wendi, do you want to say anything to that? Or are we good?
No, that's good for now. Let me just add one thing. I think just something that you all might find interesting is that the Lego Serious Play method actually started as an internal strategy tool for the Lego company back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the president of the time at the time was looking for a way to do some internal work and to bring his team towards a common solution. Well, it worked. And so they ended up partnering with some business professors at the IMD Business School out of Wesleyan, Switzerland. And it became open sourced in the early 2000s. And here we are today, fast forward. But all that to say, as Jillian was talking, the real intent was initially to be this problem solving, solution finding method or tool that can be used organizationally.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the other piece of that, and then I'll hand it over to Wendi. What the other piece of this is, how this is accomplished is through the idea of 100% engagement. How many times have you sat in a room, everybody's leaning back, arms crossed, one person in the front, and you are presenting or you're trying to get input from your team, and you have about 20% of the people doing 80% of the talking. And you have in the room maybe people who are a little bit slower to process, or internal processors, or introverts, or people who typically aren't comfortable in a space where there's just a call out. And then you have those who immediately put their hand up, immediately want to speak. These meetings create what we call the lean back meeting, where you really aren't capturing the whole sentiment of the room or even the whole knowledge or solution of the room, because we have 20% of the people doing 80% of the talking. So the goal with Lego Series Play and how we do this is to convert it to 100%, 100%, meaning everybody is leaning in, everybody is sharing, and there's 100% engagement. In which every single person has the opportunity through the method, which Wendi will share next, how we get to that, to provide input in a 3D way that can encapsulate thoughts, feelings on a 3D print, and the whole group can see it together. And then now you have 100% lean in. And we could show you multitude of pictures. Every time we do some sort of time with a group, we always see this. They come in before they start playing and they're leaning back. And by the time we have them at the end, they're all leaning forward, just like this other picture, where they are physically are leaning in. And you can watch even their countenance change, which demonstrates engagement. And when you do that, we have found, because you've leveraged the diversity in the room in a really powerful way, it actually shortens the time to get to solution, because the method is created in such a way that you can get to insights faster, get to solution faster, and can actually have deeper, more impact in a shorter amount of time. So to give you an example, it could be that you're trying to get to your team core values. Well, that could be months and months and months, right? To get to that. With Lego Serious Play, we've done that in a matter of a day. And they're richer, deeper, and there's more commitment to it. So we have seen that 100%, 100% engagement. The lean in is an actual posture of commitment and shared understanding, while leveraging every single person in the room. So Wendi, I'll pass it over to you to share how we do that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jillian. So let me share a couple of pragmatic things about how this method works. There is a 4-prompt process really that we go through. And what's nice about this is that it's going to look simple for you. But really, we're, as a facilitator, as Jillian mentioned, the facilitated part of this process is one of the key components of it as well. And so as trained facilitators, we always have an end goal, and we are using these 4 questions or these 4 prompts over and over again in order to get to that solution. What it also does is it helps the individual that, as I mentioned, is more like myself. When you walk into an ambiguous situation and somebody's saying, just be creative, just think differently, and they're asking you to trust the process and to stay sufficiently unclear, knowing that there's 4 clear steps that we're going to follow through kind of puts me at ease. It may you as well, puts other participants at ease, and kind of says, okay, we are moving towards something. So this process that we go through with every stage of the Lego Serious Play process. So again, there are 7, right, Jillian? 7 levels of Lego Serious Play that we could take a team through. Oftentimes we get through 3 or 4 phases and we're able to pause there and work through some things, but there is an option to get through 7. And at every stage of these 7 levels, we're using this same core process, which is we always ask a question. Every participant always builds the answer individually first, using the Lego bricks that they have access to. They then share their story about their Lego brick, their model, and then we reflect together as a team and learn. And this leads to that 100-100 participation that Jillian just mentioned, because everyone around the table or everyone in the room is required to build and required to share. So their perspective is always being articulated. Okay, go ahead and go to the next slide, Jillian. And what we found that happens in this core process, and part of this is through some of the research that we've done, is that this muscle of creative confidence is developed. So if you're not familiar with this term, creative confidence is an attitude or belief that you can make decisions or think differently, use divergent thought. We say your left side of the brain and the right side of your brain are working together. Your divergent and your convergent thinking are coming together. It allows you to take a holistic or a systems thinking viewpoint. It allows you to mentally experiment with ideas, and it allows you, interestingly, to hold this tension with uncertainty. As we know, as leaders, right? We're not always given all of the information that we need to make decisions, right? And decision and information changes at such a rapid pace. And so we have to move forward with the amount of information that we have. And so using Lego Serious Play allows us to build this muscle, this creatively confident muscle that allows us to pivot, hold tension with uncertainty better, and again, be able to use both sides of our brain. We may get to this on another slide, but it's a good place to mention this whole Lego Serious Play method is built off the constructionist theory, for those of you that enjoy kind of the academic or the scientific piece to it. And the constructionist theory says that when we engage in something external of ourselves, like building something, constructing something, deeper learning happens. And so that is really what we're experiencing scientifically that we're going through when we're in this process. The other element that research is telling us emerges through this process is psychological safety, which many of you know, this is that interpersonal feeling that teams have that allows them freedom to start saying things and putting suggestions out on the table that they may have never been comfortable sharing before. And it really digs into those deeply held mental models that we often hold, right? And allows us to put those on the table, break those down, test those assumptions, and then move forward. Now, what happens, go ahead, yeah, with Lego Serious Play is those of you that are familiar with traditional Lego, we build models of the tangible world. So if you're looking at this image that's on the screen right now, this is perhaps, two children sitting on a couch, two individuals sitting on a couch, watching TV and, holding something in their hand. If you go to the next model or the next slide, what Lego Serious Play is asking you to do is to think about the intangible and create meaning out of something. So for example, this image doesn't just represent two people sitting on a couch, maybe watching a movie. It's asking, how does the company of certain people make me feel? So in describing this model, I may say, I am sitting next to someone that is a jewel to me. They have such great insight and such valid perspective that it's always rich when I have a conversation with them. And that provides a whole different mindset. And so what we're doing is oftentimes we give these questions or these prompts during the process that seem a little vague. Like we may build something that says, build a model of how you've been trusted in the past. And you might be thinking, how do I build something like that? Well, when you start to put two bricks together, you start to create meaning out of that. And we work the participants through the process of getting comfortable with that. Here's just a couple more. And for the sake of time, I want to throw it back to Jillian to get to some of the other core pieces.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. These are just some more examples of what we just talked about. These are showing some intangible outcomes that came from these models. I'll start with the bottom one because I like that model. If someone built a mini figure with a lot of Lego bricks stacked over them, it could demonstrate that they're feeling overwhelmed or that they have a heavy workload or that they're feeling the weight of the pressure in their organization. And that can, again, open up more dialogue and conversation. And then next slide, Jillian. And again, just reiterating, the Lego Serious Play model really is this hands-on, mind-on interaction, and it allows you to use that divergent and convergent thought together. When you build external of yourself, this deeper learning is happening, and we're finding that it allows you to solve problems from a different perspective and create these aha moments that become 3D and tangible for you to solve. Jillian, I'll throw it back to you to wrap it up.
Yeah, and we always say, trust your hands. We keep saying, trust your hands, and the story will come. And so a lot of people don't know what to do. And when they start to fiddle, they build something. And it isn't until it's built that they realize what they built and how they feel. So that trusting your hand part is really important. Okay. Here's the other thing, how it works in strategy. So the idea of thinking in 3D. We have this concept, and I'm sure we're all familiar with it, the idea of strategy, where you plan, do, plan, do, plan, do, right? You plan it, you plan it, you plan it, you do it. Well, in strategy, we talk about thinking in 3D allows us to, in quicker time, in faster pace, actually play with ideas and do plan. It's like the reverse of it. So using Lego Series Play for strategic conversations and strategic kind of even playing scenarios and how does this affect our enterprise. When we do it in 3D, we can get to more options quicker and we can play with scenarios in our system. So it's not uncommon that we build out a system and look at all the things that are affecting our enterprise, either internally, externally, or both. And you can test and play with future events and past events to see how your system can handle it based on the decisions you're making. And this is where real power can come, is playing, we call it emergent strategy, learned strategy, where we are learning as we build it and we play with it. We build a learned strategy that can help us refine before we cement it into paper. And we find that to be a very powerful example of how to utilize Lego Series Play in the strategic domain. But we wanted to give you this, and we're kind of closing out some sample topics and some sample organizations that have used this. This is by no means exhaustive, but we have used it to help with leadership identity, building trust. What is our value proposition? What is our aspirational future? If we were to look 10 years out, who do we want to be known? How do we want to be known? What does collaboration look like? How do we think our stakeholders view us? How do we want to be viewed by our stakeholders? Even things as simple as grief. So it can be very personal and emotional to enterprise specific. And some companies that have used it have been like LinkedIn, Kaiser Permanente, Deloitte, Republic Airways, McKinsey & Co. uses it. And these are just a few, to name a few, but several do use it, and they use it in a gambit of ways. And I've seen them used again from strategy all the way to understanding who I am as a leader. And these kinds of workshops span anywhere from a couple hours to a couple days. And really, the people who want to use this method want to break their habitual way of thinking and doing and solving problems. And they want to take their teams and their organizations to the next level. And in doing so, using Lego Series Play allows them to actually propel forward faster than maybe a traditional meeting would have. So that kind of sums up, I think, right, 231. Yeah. And play well. And if you wanted more information, we'll be at the question and answer as well.
So it's not go forth and conquer, it's go forth and play well.
Exactly.
A new slogan.